Hello, everyone, and welcome to When Docs Talk, WDT in 2023. We are here today in February, and this is a month that is packed with award ceremonies and Black History Month and Valentine's Day, so many things to unpack in the short little month of February. But in any case, we just wanted to let you know what's on our minds now that we're coming back to you in 2023. We've got a list of hot topics that we want to share with you. So, welcome back to our playground. Join us, leave your comments, and let us know what you'd like us to discuss on the next time. We know that tonight is the Grammys and next weekend is the Super Bowl, but you got to check out this conversation that we had just a few days ago. We talked about everything from the NFL to Brazilian butt lifts. Check us out and we'll catch you next time.
When dogs talk, when dogs talk, when dogs talk, when dogs talk. Talk, when dogs 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 talk.
Hello. How you doing?
How are y'all doing?
Well, this is When Docs Talk. It's been a while. I have missed you all, and I've missed all of our viewers. Happy New Year to everybody from WDT.
Yes. Happy New Year.
How is the year treating you so far, ladies?
So far, so good. I mean, 30 days in, we're making our strides.
Making our strides. How about you, Sonia? What's going on with you?
Well, I felt like 2022 in December was trying to take me out because I had COVID and another viral upper respiratory infection. So I was kind of happy for it to be over. And
I don't believe you on that.
Yeah, so now I'm excited about 2023 and what it has in store for all of us. So
I hear you. I definitely hear you. I'm sorry that you were sick. I'm happy that you're feeling better. To all of you joining us, we are When Docs Talk. We are back for 2023, and we want to just welcome in the new year by talking about things that are pressing on our minds before we jump into our series that you'll see throughout the rest of 2023. So, what about New Year's resolutions? It's a new year. We got some goals. We got some, visions and everything for When Docs Talk. We definitely want to bring ourselves to further reach. We want people to hear us, and we also want to just talk sometimes. We love the shows and the guests that we've had. We appreciate that we've had these really in-depth conversations, but sometimes we just want to talk spur of the moment and talk about what's going on right now, right here. And so that's one of our goals for the show. But in terms of resolutions, any resolutions that you guys have for 2023 in general, for yourselves, your families?
I know I personally have decided I want to run another half marathon. I ran the St. Jude half marathon in 2016. I've run a couple of 5Ks. But since that time, I have birthed 2 kids, and I fell off the running wagon, and then the wagon came back and ran over me several times. So now I'm back at the gym, getting my time down, getting my endurance up. So the St. Jude Marathon is in December, so I got a long way to go. But that's one of my goals.
And it's a marathon, it's a half marathon or
half marathon. I cannot justify running 26.2 miles. 13.1. I'm 13.1. I can get down with.
It's still a lot. 13.1. But what I was gonna say is I really like that you put in that 0.2 miles because my husband and I, we ran the LA Marathon back in 2007. Was it? Yeah, 2007. And it was hard. Okay, yeah. It was crazy. We didn't train properly. We're like, oh, we're young. We can do this. We got this. We walked around Balboa Park a couple times, and we're like, okay, we can do a marathon. Let me tell you that when I finished that marathon, even my eyelashes hurt. Okay. I think everything was just ready to scream on my body. They were so mad at me. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you ran 26 miles. I was like, 26.2.
Oh,
Give
yes.
me that extra 0.2, honey.
Oh, yes. Give you the point
We
two.
survived it, and we will never,
Ooh,
ever do it again.
wow. Wow, I am impressed. I am impressed. So for me, I do not do New Year's resolutions anymore overall.
Okay.
And I feel like my new year is my birthday. So I always feel like if I do make any types of resolutions or like saying, oh, this is what I'm gonna do for the new year, that's my new year, is my birthday. So with that being said though, I don't know, definitely overall everyone kind of is in gear from the standpoint of, okay, this is January, that's the mark of the new year. What are you going to
Mhm.
do moving forward? So I'm definitely, trying to, set those goals down. And actually, it was funny because my best friend, she, I don't know, I've always chuckled at people that did vision boards because I don't know, I'm not a craftsy person. I didn't know the
Yeah.
concept. Just like doing
Actually, the artwork and putting stuff up there.
exactly. That is so not me. So not me. But she was like, girl, listen, we have some goals that we really, listen, we've always talked about. Let's maybe change up some stuff and do something different, you know. And so we got over here one Sunday. We had our Chardonnay, and we're cutting and pasting and putting up. And so I have this vision board though for
Okay.
2023 that I did with my goals and what I want to achieve, and like, so short term goals, long term goals, and so I'm actually I was pretty excited about it. So
I like that. I love that. I love that.
Okay, then.
For me, I do resolutions. I've cut them down as the years go by. I'm like, let's not be ambitious, too overly ambitious. Let's just do one or two things. And I think that's something that I'm really trying for 2023 is positivity. I consider myself an upbeat, optimistic person in general, but really like being deliberate and intentional about finding the silver lining in every situation. And we know that the past couple of years, 2020 all the way to 2023, have been difficult for a lot of people. It's been rough for us, y'all, in this world. And so I really want to be counting my blessings and really underscoring them. Okay, something bad happens. What did I learn from that? What's the positivity in that? Oh, I stubbed my toe. Thank God I have shoes. Whatever it is, I'm going to be like even silly about it, like really dumb about it. Like everything is going to have its positive spin in 2023 for me. So y'all try and hold me to that. Okay.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, we are When Docs Talk, and the whole concept of our show when it was developed in 2020 was to really give a voice to people like ourselves, right? We're doctors, but there are so many things that people ask us about that we would love to share with not just our friends and family, but also to let you know how we think in terms of things outside of medicine, because we're still people, right? In the end, I'm a woman, and these are my girls, and we talk about these things. And a lot of times people wonder, what are other people thinking about these issues? What are people in medicine thinking about these issues? What are people who are Black women thinking about these issues? So all the hats we wear, we want to bring to the table when we talk about things that are on everybody's minds. And so in our last season's series, we would have a section called Hot Tops by the Docs, right? So Hot Topics by us, where we just talk about whatever's on the news, whatever is trending right now. And so we want to kind of do that today because there's so many things that we've been on the phone about, like, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? And some people have been asking, when are you guys going to come back and talk about XYZ? So we will still have our major shows with our wonderful guests. But today, tell me what's on your mind, Yolanda.
So let's talk about, I come from a family of men, so the NFL playoffs have been the forefront of a lot of my day-to-day conversations, in work, out of work. My husband and I, we like opposing teams. He's a Falcons fan, I'm a Saints fan, and neither one of us went to the playoffs. But anyway, so
it's all good.
Everybody
divided. Everybody saw what happened, unfortunately, to DeMar Hamlin.
Yes.
He's recovered well. The Bills are out, so he's not playing. Hopefully he doesn't return back. But
Yes, thank
anyone
God.
who,
And can we give a quick shout out to his medical team, the
oh
emergency
yes,
crew of medical
Yes.
docs and trainees that were there, all the personnel basically that were there on the field, because we all know, and if we don't, let us tell you that if he didn't have immediate cardiopulmonary resuscitation, we would not have the happy ending that we're celebrating right now. So shout out to all the medical people on the NFL that day who saved Damar Hamlin's life.
absolutely, absolutely. And with that looming medical issue that happened in that game, you almost forget about the other that are happening. You know, people aren't having, cardiac arrest, but there are people who are having multiple injuries during the playoffs that are either knocking them out for the rest of the season or, messing with their gameplay. Last evening, we witnessed the Eagles mollywop the 49ers, but in the midst of the mollywhopping, the 49ers were on their third string quarterback. Purdy is his last name. I can't remember his first name.
Because everyone else got
but
injured?
Everybody else got injured. Well, baby, he got hurt. And so they put in the fourth string quarterback. And even the announcer was like, well, they got to pull out the fourth string quarterback. And he didn't expect to play. Y'all, they showed this man on the sidelines is African-American gentleman. Real small guy. You could tell he was young. He's on the sideline, and the quarterbacks wear these little pouches that keep their hands warm, right?
Yeah.
So you could tell he's been over there with his hands in that pouch all season. Okay. And he gets hurt, and you could just see his face like, oh, shit. Y'all, he went out there. Bless his heart. He tried. Bless his heart. He tried so hard.
It was Josh Johnson was the fourth.
Josh Johnson.
And
Yeah.
Brock
Purdy.
Brock Purdy was the third.
Brock Purdy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, ladies. And the football fans everywhere, please don't kill me. Okay. But I'm going to ask, is it worth it? Is it worth these injuries? I mean, I love the energy behind football. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a huge football fan, but I'll go to a game. I'll watch a game and so forth, just because I love that energy. I argued with my son about playing because I was like, I don't want my baby bumped up. I let him play one season. But tell me, is it worth this? Is it worth the head injuries, the long-term injuries? What are your thoughts? Because I know you guys are fans.
I have a son. He's 3. He thinks he's indestructible, and I'm sure that thought process will not change as he gets older.
Right. It won't.
I can foresee myself being okay with him playing football, even with the risk, because if he's truly, truly passionate about it, I don't want to let mommy's fear about what if interfere with what could have been. If he does thrive and that be a way for him to, be more involved in high school and college. I mean, it is character building. There is a risk to it, but there's also a risk while I go out there and get the mail, someone could, be drunk driving down the street and hit me.
Yeah, but it's different though. I mean, there are very well-established studies, as much as people did not want them to come out, that demonstrate a clear risk of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, after long-term playing of this sport. In all positions, in many positions. Certainly there were some that were more risky than others, but this is not like, oh, I could get struck by lightning. This is like, you're going to get your clock wrong if you play long enough, and especially if you play in certain positions. And they say, oh, we're changing the way the game is played. We're tackling differently, but there's still a lot of damage. And these are people who are retiring when they're in their 30s and 40s and still having these problems. You have young men who are, 40 and 50, and I know some, personally, who can't remember stuff that they should remember, have serious problems with depression, have serious problems with neurological problems. And these are young people who should be enjoying their lives. So it is a clear risk. It is higher than other sports because they've compared it.
But I think when you just said, though, they're enjoying their lives. And I feel like for a lot of them, they enjoy the sport.
Oh, yeah, they love it. Love it. Like, not enjoy, I mean, like, love it.
And so I think it's a matter of, it's about kind of risk and benefit, consequences, and if you're willing to deal with those consequences based upon if this is something that you truly want to do and to enjoy. And I get it. I mean, I have this love-hate relationship with football. A good football game is the best contest to watch in the world. It really is. I mean, from the strategy, the athleticism. I mean, just to see somebody get this impossible, beautiful catch that, like, how in the world did they get that? That excitement when you see that, it's uncomparable.
It's
you know,
I don't know about incomparable, but it's great because I'm about that hoop. You see that shot, I'm like, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. You don't even want to be next to me during a basketball game. You'll be like, well, this girl, shut up.
No, true. But I just tell you, it's something about football, and so academically or even in medically, you definitely, I get it and I understand it, and I have to admit, with all of that information, I have kind of shied away from football a little bit, as well as some of the social justice issues that had come about in football. I had stepped away, and I don't really watch it as much, but I tell you, I have to admit, like, you watching a good football game, it's something about it. And once again, from the standpoint of, I can tell somebody, okay, these are the risks, but can I begrudge somebody that opportunity if they truly say, this is something that I want to do, and I enjoy doing it.
Right.
I hear you. Well, shout out and much love to all of our football heroes out there. I will be watching the Super Bowl if I'm not working. I definitely will. I don't hate the sport, but I do hate the potential implications for so many generations of young men who become older men with problems. And it's not all of them, but it is a risk, and we cannot pretend it doesn't happen. And, so I'm always going to talk about it. And I still don't want my son to play football. And I'm so happy he's now playing soccer more as his permanent sport. Yay. And my younger son is playing basketball. Yay. And my third son, my little baby 5-year-old, I think he's going to want tennis. Yes.
Soccer still concussion risk.
Yep. There is.
That's
they
just
studied that, but you know what? They studied that, and I was in high school soccer, especially girls' high school soccer. They did those studies and so they've limited some of the motions that people can do with headbutting and so forth, and it's still less than football. Because I did study that. Oh, I saw my baby playing soccer.
It's not risk. I'm just saying it's not risk averted.
And nothing is, right? You're right. Just like you were saying, nothing is risk-free. And we don't need risk-free. I mean, sometimes that builds character too. Like, there's grit in knowing that there's risk with things. Sometimes you got to tough it out. Sometimes you're going to get knocked. You get up. I mean, we know this. We want to instill this in our young men and women, right? Yes. But not at the expense of chronic disability. That's the only thing I'm saying. Okay, let's change gears a little bit. We talked about football a little bit. Let's go up more my alley. So what movies have you all been watching? Because I want to talk about the Oscars. And there was a couple of movies that I watched last year that really just completely changed me. They were just amazing, beautiful movies. The Woman King. Can we give a shout out to The Woman King and the whole cast, crew, directors? Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
I loved it. And several other movies. But the reason I bring those two up is because I want to talk about the Oscars that are upcoming, the nominees and the nominos. Who was snubbed and who wasn't. So tell me what movies really did it for you last year, ladies.
Probably Wakanda Forever did. I liked Top Gun Maverick.
That was another one. That was
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, I never saw that.
Daniel Kwan. Oh, yes.
Okay.
I think it has the most nominees.
It does.
It has the most nominations.
It has 11 nominations. So you said that's really good.
It's really good. It's worth the watch. It's definitely worth the watch. And last one, Elvis.
What is it?
I like Elvis.
I hear that was fire. I hear that was really good.
That young man deserves every award that he gets.
I gotta put that on my list because I knew it was gonna be good, just because I love bioepics. I mean, it's hard for you to mess that up for me because I just love the history behind it. But then I kept hearing about it, and I kept hearing just what you said, that young the young actor who was nominated, actually, I believe, is just, he really did his work on that.
Austin Butler, I think.
Austin Butler, that's right. Congratulations to him. the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, another thing about it that's phenomenal that we celebrate here is that it has a very large, for the first time, all these nominations for the Asian community. And so we're happy to see that too. I have to see that movie. But let's just put up the movies that did get nominated.
And I'll be honest, this sounds so horrible, but I saw one movie. I saw Wakanda Forever. But when I tell you my attention span, I can't do movies anymore. And that sounds so horrible. So I do them here at home. If they're on Netflix, and I have all that, and I can stop and go. But I don't know. I feel like the movies, why are they so long?
But they're good though. Let me tell you, Avatar, which I saw in December when it came out on IMAX. Let me tell you, that was golden. I was like, I was in it. I was with them in the movie. It was 3D IMAX. I was like, yeah, I'm there fighting too. But it was like 3 hours. I didn't feel a minute of it. Like when it was over, I'm like, oh, that's it? Seriously.
What? See, I don't know.
The movie is not good. It does that though.
After about 90 minutes, I'm like, okay, it's good, but are they wrapping this up or what's the resolution?
Yolanda, wait in here. Are you with it? Are you down with the movie if it's really good, even if it's long?
Okay.
Let me. After 90 minutes, I'm starting to get a little antsy. Like, okay, we need to come on, wrap it up.
After about 2 hours, I'm like, okay, how much of the movie is left? Like, it's very rare that I'm not like that. Now, that being said, I've never seen Avatar, like the original one.
You never saw?
Look, you can find my husband. You can ask him how many movies have I seen in my life, and he'll say all the ones I've seen with him because I'm not a movie watcher. I would look dark theater. It's nice chair. It's cold. I'm going to bed.
Yes.
So, oh my gosh, y'all.
So like,
I am going to take you to the movies. We saw Wakanda together forever.
We did. Yes, and I was awake the whole time.
Good. You needed to be because you were up in the front row like this.
Yes, it was like, okay, I'm going to be Wakanda forever.
But we're going to a movie as a crew, and if y'all start sleeping, I'm pinching you. Y'all are not going to sleep. You're going to stay awake all 3 hours of whatever dang movie I take you to.
Between the naps and the fidgeting, because you're gonna be like, if you don't be still, that's what you're gonna be doing.
Like we can.
Real. But let's put these Oscar nominees up, okay? So I'm gonna take this down so you can see the whole list here. So for Best Picture, Top Gun Maverick, Yolanda, you said you love that. Dr. Yuli loved that, and it was nominated for Best Picture, as was Women Talking. I've heard that's phenomenal. I can't wait to see it because I always try and see all of the movies. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That was also nominated, and I've heard phenomenal things about it. It has a record-breaking 11 nominations. The Banshees of Inisherin, I hope I'm saying that correctly. That's also supposed to be really good. Triangle of Sadness, I heard it was really amazing and probably should have even got more attention is what I've been hearing. And The Fabelmans, Steven Spielberg's kind of bio history. I don't know exactly, so I haven't seen it, but I heard it's based on a lot of elements of his life. And so I'm excited to see it. All Quiet on the Western Front. I don't know too much about. Have you ladies heard about that?
I don't know a whole lot about that, to be honest with you. I hadn't heard much about that, but that means absolutely nothing in the world of the Oscars.
Right. Avatar, The Way of the Water. I loved it. I'll see it again. If you can see it on IMAX 3D, do it. It will change your world. Elvis, as you mentioned, and as I've heard from other people, phenomenal. And Tar, I haven't heard much about, but
Tar is about an abusive conductor.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Kate Blanchett's supposed to be
like
really
conductor.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay. Interesting. So I'll probably see that too. Like I said, I always try to make an effort to see the Oscar-nominated movies, but I really think The Woman King should have been on there for something. Viola Davis did her thing. Anyway, I love it. Watch it if you haven't. I am definitely endorsing that movie. But congratulations to all the Oscar nominees for this year. I think it's going to be a good Oscars. Are you guys going to watch it?
If I'm not working, I will.
Who's hosting it? Y'all know?
I don't.
Shoot, I don't even know if the Oscars know.
The Oscars know who's hosting it.
Normally they'll come out with a commercial or whatever, like, oh, such and such is
Jimmy Kimmel. I just
Oh,
looked it up. Jimmy Kimmel. It should be good. He'll be funny. He'll be
Okay.
funny.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That'll work.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I know we're talking about the playoffs and the Oscars and all this stuff in entertainment, but I think we would be remiss if we don't give attention to some of the more heartbreaking things that have already taken place or have been at the center of attention in 2023, starting with gun violence. We're all aware of the multiple mass shootings, including probably some of the more famous ones in California recently, that have plagued the communities, several of them Asian communities in California. I mean, what is your understanding of what's happened? Because I was personally shocked at a couple of things. You know, the age of the assailant, he was an older man, the timing, the location, and everything. But it just underscores that we can see this anywhere, at any time. No community seems safe. Talk to me, ladies. What's up?
I'm ashamed to say it. I kind of sort of have checked out of really keeping up with it because it's so much. It's like, again, that's how I feel every time I turn on. It's like a mass shooting again. I don't even bother to see where it's at. Like, is it in this house? No, then wherever it is, it's it's a travesty, and it's never going away.
Right. That's what's clear. That's what's very clear, is that it's never going away. And you're not alone in people who have tuned things out. I mean, it's hard not to. It's almost protective. We did our show. For those of you who watched When Docs Talk, when we did our episode Strapped, Gun Violence in America, it was watched. We had, well over 100,000 views. And it just talked about gun violence from different perspectives, from people who have lost loved ones, like we had our mother, Miss Cheryl, who lost her son. We talked to the law enforcement agents who deal with this. We talked to gun enthusiasts who told us why they love guns and how they can be more safe. We talked to prosecutors. We talked to trauma surgeons. So it was a great episode. And we really talked about what happened at Uvalde, which broke all of our hearts. At that time, that's when the show came out. And yet here we are, months and months later, another episode, lives lost, senseless. Now, what do y'all think about the fact that this is in California, where gun laws, compared to a lot of other states, especially the ones we're in, are a little bit more strict?
People are just as careless and stupid and heartless. Laws won't change that.
Exactly.
However, the gun that was used in Monterey, at least, was a semi-automatic assault rifle, and that they've been trying to get banned for years, and apparently Governor Newsom is really getting serious about doing that now. I think that there's something to be said about the type of weapon and the availability of it.
Oh, absolutely, and I think I share Yuli's sentiment, though. And I hate it, because I think overall I'm not desensitized, but it's just too much.
It is.
Like every other day, every month is somebody with this level of gun violence. I mean, it's just, and it's not just even this. We talk about mass shootings, but even just day to day, people that they don't know, there's no conflict resolution. There's no, from the standpoint, like, we're going to argue, we're going to have issues, that kind of stuff. But why is it that we're in a culture that the moment something breaks off, you got to go pull out your gun,
right,
and shoot somebody? I mean, I have, and I think you and I, we have guns, and that's not my first inclination. From the standpoint of, if something breaks off or something, I got to go grab my gun.
Right. What happened to just fights? Remember when you were growing up? It's just fights, like just fist fights or whatever kind of fights. Maybe not fist. You get the Vaseline out, get you like just.
Exactly.
But that's how it used to be. Like, that's the worst thing that you could think of after school for your kid, is they got in a fight.
Exactly. Now you're worried about if they're going to get. There was a fight that broke out, but now they're going to get shot, and they weren't even near the fight.
Right.
I mean, there's so many instances, right? With this kid, he was taking out the trash. He got shot in the head here in Atlanta. There was another kid. He was outside of Cascade skating rink. A fight broke out. He wasn't even near it. got
wasn't even
shot
there,
and killed.
got shot and killed.
And so that's the thing. It's a matter of even, we have too much access to guns, but also from the standpoint, we as human beings, there's no, I don't know, the level of the lack of regard for life,
Yeah.
empathy, once again, conflict resolution. Nobody even knows that concept. And so these are even the discussions we need to have.
Yes.
From the standpoint of, okay, what do you do when you feel like you want to fight somebody or you're in an argument? And it's not running to go get your semi-automatic and shoot everybody up that surrounds you and miss the person you're even fighting with.
Right. A lot of times.
Yes.
And you have, and it's just, it permeates every single aspect of society. It doesn't matter where you live, who you are. We've lost, even last year we lost Migos. I'm sorry.
Takeoff.
Takeoff from Migos, and it was a celebrity. I mean, it's everywhere. What I wanted to say, Sonia, because you're talking about the problem and how it's we're not learning how to resolve conflict, but it's also too much violence, and this broadcasting of violence is almost like a violence porn, as they call it, trauma porn. That's exactly what they call it, where it's shown everywhere, and it's almost like we're addicted to violence in our video games, in our music videos. Even though we say we hate it, we watch it, and it does something to us. Sonia, you were mentioning something about violence against women, particularly Black women. There was a story you were telling us about. You want to share it with our viewers?
Yeah. So, and actually, this one was kind of close to home, even though I feel like, at what point do we say, let's just break up? Like, why you got to kill the other person?
Right.
Let them go. And so this was in Snellville in Gwinnett County. And so this young lady, Courtney Owens, she's 34. And so she had a boyfriend, and they had a used car business together. And so I guess he wanted to break up with her, and he didn't want to share the business. So he hired somebody to kill her.
Dang.
So, yeah. And so he came in.
And this is not even his wife. This is a girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
So it's not like by law she would inherit his money or his business anyway.
Well, but I guess I don't know what the business arrangement was, but any which way, he was like, he needed her out of the picture so he could have all his money. And so the thing was, the guy went in, shot her close range with a rifle. First of all, who does that? And anyway, but then you hire somebody that's going to tell it all and tell on you anyway. And so right now, as of the last time I looked, they're still looking for him. The guy he's 41 years old, Stoney Williams. So anyway, yeah, but he wanted to end the relationship and be out of partnership with her. But I was like, bro, you got to kill her?
Just walk, brother. In fact,
just leave. Or just tell her to go.
Just leave. This is what I don't understand. I was talking about this with my husband the other day. We were also watching on CNN about the Murdoch murders. And you have yes, and you have this man, an attorney, I believe, who was going to be accused of embezzling, maybe going to be tried for it or investigated for it, whatever. And the thinking is that he is probably the person who killed his wife and his child. Now, keep in mind, this is what is alleged. He has not been convicted of this yet, to my knowledge. But I'm just thinking, were that to be the case, how do you get to a place where you can kill the person who you literally sleep in bed with every night, who gave birth to children? Same thing with Scott Peterson. It reminds me of that. Remember, this man had a wife who was pregnant out to here, sweet little Lacey Peterson, and killed her. Like, where do we get to that place where you can literally end the life of somebody that you're with, and not somebody that you're with and fighting with, like War of the Roses? I don't know if you guys ever watched that movie years ago with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, where they hated each other and they were ready to kill each other. We're talking about people who are smiling in your face and sleeping with you, and maybe they're having an affair with somebody else, and they're like, you know what? I'm having an affair with this woman, so therefore I'm going to kill my wife to get out of it.
Or there was just a case in Dallas. So the guy was dating this woman, and the woman just found out that he was married. And so she was like, I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell on you.
His wife?
Yes. So the dude killed her, buried her, and this was in Dallas, and burned up her car.
Shoot. So he killed his side piece.
Yes.
Because she was going to tell the wife.
Because she found out because he was trying to date her and being married. And once again, I'm just like, man, just be a man. Oh, you got to kill the chick? I mean, come on, really? I just don't get. Once again, it's this lack of regard for human life.
For human life, that is what it is. It's a lack of regard for human life.
Just say, hey, I got busted. Hey, suffer the consequences.
Suffer the consequences, man up. Okay, so what's your wife gonna do? Wife's probably gonna stay with you anyway. These days. I mean,
you probably love your little rat bastard self.
Exactly.
So he's gonna stick with
so many people, so many women will stay with their husbands anyway. It doesn't matter. I've had some people come tell me that their friends, I'm gonna be real. One of my friends was seeing somebody. She did not know he was married initially. She found out later. She was a little slow to break it off. Okay. But she was surprised because when she confronted the wife, because the wife had called and been asking, who are you? Why are you talking to my husband? Or are you talking to my husband? And she had been ignoring that call because she didn't want to face up to it. Okay. So now she finally gets the nerve to call back wife. Wife was unfazed, or at least acted unfazed, and she's like, he's never going to leave me for you. And you're just a side piece and blah, 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 blah. So my point is.
And he probably had done it before.
Probably. Just the way she was so cool as a cucumber about it.
Oh, yeah.
The wife of my friend's
wife.
Cheating person, that guy that she's no longer seeing. But whatever the case is, my point is, he's doing this so that the wife doesn't know. Wife is probably going to stay with him. Like, what is the point in killing this woman that you slept with? Okay, you had sex with, and whatever other relationship you had with, just so that she won't tell your wife that you're cheating when your wife probably even knows. Shoot,
Exactly.
Whatever the case is, no regard for human life. So in that disregard for human life, we have to talk about the life that was lost in Memphis, Tennessee. Very sad story. Everyone has heard about Mr. Tyree Nichols. May his soul rest in peace. We have been hearing this story about how he was stopped by the police and how he was pulled out of his car. And we have watched, some of us, I could not watch, but we have watched as he was beaten mercilessly to death by officers. And so I think the whole question of valuing life, and this is any life, let's say he was a criminal, which he wasn't, right? As far as we know. But even if he was doing something wrong, which as far as we know, once again, he wasn't, why is it even a thought to beat and batter someone that badly or at all?
Well, that's what I was sitting there like, what horrible lives did y'all have?
Yeah.
That y'all felt like y'all needed to do something like that. I mean, like you listen. So I watched one of the videos, and so the thing is, I think they probably have different views from different video cams and that kind of stuff. Because so the videos, they were grainy, so it was hard. I mean, the gist of it. But really, for me, was what they were saying throughout the video. So they were talking about, lay down and like get him and, what are you doing? And then, afterwards they were giving each other high fives. You were like, you saw how he was acting. Yeah. And then, and they out of breath and like,
but how was he acting? That's what I'm trying. It doesn't make sense.
He was trying to sit up and he's like, why are you doing this? What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm down. And they wanted him, I guess. And that's what to me, it just seemed like it was humiliating. Like what level of compliance do you want a person to have?
Right.
What level of power do you want to have over somebody's body? So even though he's on the ground, he's already hemmed up by the little guy was only but this big. You got these 5 big dudes around him, and you're sitting there like, and what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want from him? He's already on the ground. You know,
Right.
were you angry that he ran away from you? Is this an ego thing? Once
But
again,
wouldn't he run because he was being attacked? Like, who wouldn't run for their lives?
exactly. Fear. And then the thing was too, he's calling for his mom. So that's
What breaks
heartbreaking to
my
hear any
heart. Oh, it breaks my heart.
grown
Oh,
man
Jesus,
calling
Lord.
for their mom. And I guess she lived only a few blocks or however far away. So he's calling for his mom. And so you're hearing all of this, and it's just once again lack of humanity.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, why are you sitting here putting all of this on this one guy that ultimately did not do anything? If he he was driving reckless, big deal. You act like he killed your mama or he hit your mama.
Right.
What is this about? Why are you doing all of this?
So that's the question. What is this about? Because there's so many issues to unpack in this whole very sad story, right? There's issues of over policing or perhaps police brutality. There's issues of race, right? So some people are like, well, all the people who usually make a lot of noise when there's a police shooting or something are very quiet now. Why is that? Is it because the officers are all Black and the victim is also Black? How do you think race really plays into this, and how does it change the landscape compared to like a George Floyd or something like that?
Well, I know for me, I think one of the reasons is a little bit different because they were so proactive. I mean, nobody had to step back and go, wait a minute, why are they not doing this? Why are they not, what's taking so long? I mean, they were so proactive from the standpoint of, hey, this is what happened. This is what we're doing. These are the charges that we brought out. So from the standpoint of normally when people are reacting or protesting, it's because of lack of accountability, lack of action. So there was a lot of action that happened and occurred. And there were protests, but they were peaceful. But once again, because there was accountability and there was action already.
Do you think that their accountability and action were swifter because now you have Black officers doing this as opposed to white?
I think it was a mixture of, well, we've already done something very similar about 15 times, and that led to some pretty rough protests. Let's go ahead and line all these folks up. Here's your mugshot, folks. Here they go. Here go all the people who did wrong. All very bad. And they publicly scorned them. They've all got their scarlet letter in regards to what they did, and they did that very early. I don't know if that was so much of, see, we are improving, we are getting better, versus, yeah, we don't want to have to deal with that same kind of crap here in Memphis. Because I don't know if either one of y'all have any relationship with Memphis, Tennessee at all.
My sister used to live there.
My old practice in Osceola, Arkansas is based out of Baptist Hospital, which is in Memphis. So I spent a lot of time in Memphis, and the good parts of Memphis are good. And then there's the rest of Memphis. And so you don't want Orange Mound having a protest, because I'm not going to say it's not going to be peaceful. It's going to be very animated. And I think that MPD was like, you know what? This is going to get real ugly real quick. This is not California. This is not Wisconsin. This is not New York. These folks of color is finna go pop the trunk, and it's going to be really bad if we don't do something really quick.
Oh yeah,
that's what I think.
They would have torn Memphis up.
Yeah.
But they could tear. But I think that might be part of it. But they could tear. It's lots of towns can tear places up. I can't think that it's only the level of protest that they were scared of. I think it's other things involved, and I was surprised to know. So another thing is, you see the faces of the officers everywhere I turn. They put these officers' pictures up, and there's kind of a swift rebuking of their actions by everybody, including people that don't normally hear rebuke people. Even the former Trump, or I'll just call him Trump. Even Trump came out and gave a statement about how wrong what they did was. And I have to say, in speaking to different people, including some of our viewers, they're like, well, I think it's because of the race of the officers that their pictures are displayed everywhere, that they're rebuked far and wide without any sort of consideration of the circumstances almost, right?
Well, from the standpoint of, I had saw a similar incident. This was a while back, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember his name, but it was a guy in South Carolina who was they were stopping him for a traffic violation, and ran, and they shot him.
Oh yeah,
Shot him in the back.
I remember in the back.
Showed the video, and once again, though, they got on top of it. They arrested the officer, went ahead, indicted him, all of that, and once again, so they were very, very swift in accountability. And so, and
what was the race of the officer in that case?
He was white.
He was white. Okay.
He was white. And so once again, I think it also depends on, and I get it. The optics are bad because I mean, all of a sudden, boom, just like that. Hey, before, if it was all the white officers with, in Minnesota, how long it took, all of this. Oh, well, we got to look at this and that, and all of a sudden, boom, we got it done.
Right.
Definitely, the optics look very, very bad. But I do feel like in other situations that I've seen, not necessarily to this extent, but where there was some misjustice that occurred, when they got on top of it quickly, that helped to mitigate any of the problems when it came to protests and riots and things like that.
People are still protesting, though. People are still protesting.
It's been peaceful. And the police chief that's there, she's a Black female. Also. And so I don't know for her from the standpoint of thinking, and I don't know what she thought and that kind of stuff, but did she think about it a little bit more clearly and a little bit more succinctly about, listen, this is what I need to do to mitigate it versus, but also we know that within we can be racist. There can be racism.
That is a very important point because people assume, if it's Black cops and it's a Black victim, there can be no racism. But the way that people treat each other, the way that we have been socialized to look at Black people, unfortunately, and it doesn't evade us. It doesn't mean that Black people also can't be racist. It doesn't mean that Black people have also not been told to devalue Black bodies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you're right, Sonia. I did see this. You all mentioned to me something I did not know. We do see the pictures of the 5 officers all the time everywhere. You see 5 Black men and you hear about what they did and you see the pictures. But then somebody sent me a picture of this officer and I didn't hear about this one. I don't know much about him, but I was surprised. And you all said, this is somebody who was also involved. So tell us more about this officer and why is his picture not displayed with these 5 other officers?
So this man's name is Preston Hemphill. This is the gentleman, the police officer, former police officer now, who was tasing the young man who the cops murdered. I'm gonna say what it is. I don't know why his picture's not on. I can speculate that the obvious phenotypic difference has something to do with it, but I think that he maybe he's tried to slip under the scapegoat of, I did something wrong, but let's focus on these guys who are on camera and who you can see doing this. Now, I didn't watch the video, so I don't know, but that's why I think he's been well hidden.
Okay.
With all of this.
Well, I think the plot thickens, the story unfolds. It's a lot that we may never know about what really happened because there's whole footage that we don't see. It starts off from a section much later, so we don't really know what happened beforehand. But what I am gonna say, just to close that discussion out, is that one, it was awful what happened, and I really don't think that we need any more of this trauma porn, especially directed towards Black bodies. I don't need to see another young Black man's life ended by anybody. 2, I pray for his family, and I hope that they are comforted in a way that no human is going to be able to comfort them. And 3, I want to thank all of the officers that are doing the right thing out there, that are protecting us. And I want to underscore, that's like the word of the day, right? To really highlight that this is not all police. I think that sometimes people go on a bandwagon. They say, officers are this and they're over policing and so forth. We have a lot of great officers, and it's unfortunate when there are some bad ones who make the others and the hard work that they do for the communities, when they basically destroy that and tarnish that image. So thank you to all of our good cops, and my sincerest condolences to the family. And I hope that we don't have to see anything like that, especially as frequently as we're seeing this anytime soon.
Yeah.
But let's talk about accountability. We're going to switch topics a little bit because we're talking about officers, and let's talk about politicians and accountability, because something that caught my eye at the end of 2022 and still continues to catch my eye now is the story about the New York representative, George Santos. What is going on with this young man?
If that's what his name really
If
is.
that's what his name really is.
What is it, Antonio Divaldo or somebody else? This man done stole money from a man trying to make his dog better. His mom supposedly died and this and that. He's supposedly his grandparents or somebody survived the Holocaust. You know what? You can't make this up.
You cannot make
Well,
this
he
up,
did.
but he did. Exactly.
He did.
So let's just talk about some of the lies that he's told. And this is somebody who was newly elected in the last elections, elected to the House of Representatives in New York. Apparently, he lied about where he went to high school. Okay. He lied about where he went to college. You know, and at one point he said that he was at NYU. He has never been at NYU, is what New York University says. He lied about working on Wall Street. He has not worked on Wall Street. People embellish their resumes all the time. We see this all the time. But then now you start lying about your mother being killed in 9/11 or being hurt in 9/11. So it went from she died in 9/11 to she was there and she had complications. But when they traced the immigration records, she wasn't even in the country on 9/11. So now you're making lies about a catastrophic event in U.S. history and you're putting your mother there. I mean, there's something really sick about that. So why is he still there?
You know, the only thing I can think of is if he's there, then who's not? And what I mean by that is if someone that awful, that delusional, and that sociopathic is there, who'd he beat? Like Satan? Like
Exactly, for real.
Like who else was running? Like that's what has me more worried.
Or an alpaca was running against them, or like,
hey, look, I'm all for a vote in alpaca.
Or rather have him. And you know, the thing is, too, he's like, I'm not going anywhere because the Republican Party of New York was like, you need to step down, you need to leave. And he was like, nope, you can't make me.
I feel like at what point should we have it so that it's not their choice? Like at some point he should be kicked out or something, because that's what I guess that's the question I'm asking when we talk about politician accountability is, to what extent can you lie, blatant lies? And we all know that people lie, politicians lie. We know this. But lies that don't even make sense and still be able to keep your job. Because in what situation, what profession can you lie to that extent and you're still working?
Exactly.
Let us lie about our resume like that. See if we're practicing anybody's medicine in any place in the United States.
Exactly.
I don't think so. I don't think so. And granted, medicine is a different field, but in general, I really feel that we need to have higher accountability for the people that represent us and make our laws, right, in this nation. And I'm tickled by this story. It went from like, I can't believe that, to at some point I was straight up laughing on that. This brother doesn't laugh. I mean, this guy just has me laughing because he's lying about everything, right down to his mama. You see pictures of him when he was doing like carnival or dressing, like cross-dressing in Brazil or something. Like, it's just like, this is getting like almost sick funny. You know what I mean? Like, what is happening?
And I don't know what the rules are. I don't know what the rules are within the House if to say that he cannot be seated there. But the other thing is too, if you feel the climate of politics now, you know, I feel like their agenda is more important than any integrity or lies. And so it seems 100%. Like even the leadership in Congress and the House would have been like, you know what, young man, you can't be here. We need to figure out how to get you out of here. And so nobody has said that. Nobody's holding him accountable. And so with that, and so that's reinforcing his behavior. You know, so hey, if they're not going to stop me, they're saying it's okay. I'm good.
I mean, this young man's life seems like it's been, life, as he says it, seems like it's been written by M. Night Shyamalan. So the fact that he is able to to spout out all of this disingenuousness about his personal life, and then we're gonna send him someplace where he's supposed to, you know, make some decisions on some laws,
Yes.
Governmental matters.
Yep.
What?
Exactly.
Crazy. More lies though. He lied about founding an animal charity. Okay. Yeah. He allegedly swindled a disabled vet whose dog was dying. Like, come on, like a veteran whose dog was dying. Like, I'm just mad on so many fronts. We can't even talk about him. I'm just done. People need to be better, do better, be better. And especially if you're representing the U.S. government, the U.S. people from your district, do better.
Well, the other thing, one last thing though, what about the people that aren't saying we need to recall him? Like, you don't hear anybody saying that.
There's a few people, and certainly in both parties, even in his party, which I need to hear more Republicans.
Yes.
Say, especially leadership, like you mentioned, saying no, he has to be out, but they're not. But there are people in both parties, Republicans, Democrats, who are calling him out, but not enough.
Exactly.
Not enough.
Exactly.
So we were talking about the differences if we did this in our profession and the medical profession. So let's talk about this nursing scandal. Have you heard about this nursing degree scandal?
Oh, child. These folks.
Tell the people what they need to hear. What's going on?
I can't remember the names of the schools. I feel like it was 3 schools in Florida. Mm-hmm. And for the low price of was it $10,000, $15,000, you too can get a nursing degree. I'm not talking about paying for the classes. No, they just gonna be like, here you go, here's your degree. Congratulations, you ain't took not a NAIR test, not a NAIR class, but you can sit for your boards. And what's the percent of people that pass the boards?
34%.
34% people got the fake nursing degrees, and they are passing boards they ain't never studied for.
And then what does that mean? They're practicing medicine, or practicing nursing, I should say, on patients, and they've never studied for or been in a class about nursing. Especially in a time like in the past 3 years, we have really needed nurses. Yeah. Our nurses have been the backbone of our medical society, right? We need our nurses. We love our nurses. We often have our nurses on the show when docs talk and talking about what they've done. And there's been a big push to have more nurses because we had so many crises caused by COVID and the pandemic. And so nurses were getting paid big money to travel all different directions. And so I imagine some of these people who were paying $10,000 to get a nursing degree benefited from this and were rendering services or nursing care to unsuspecting patients when they had no business touching a patient.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they were saying that, I mean, they were all on the Eastern Seaboard, in the VA, New York. There's some in Georgia that came up from Florida with these degrees. And I think it's just for all the nurses that really went out there and worked hard and studied, and then because you get practical education, and you have to do, different types of clinical hours and things like that. And so for you to go in and say, let me pay $10,000 to $15,000 and get this piece of paper and then go out there and do, I just can't even, I don't know, for me, it's just even like, what kind of soul do you have that you're playing around with people's lives?
Right.
So you really don't know what you're doing in a moment. You could be perpetuating harm to people. But
they don't, that shows me a complete lack of respect for what we do in the medical profession. Because they're like, I could do that. I could do that. Yeah. How could a nurse how could somebody who's not a nurse think that they can go and take care of patients unless they have no respect for what nurses actually do?
Exactly. And then also they were saying there were a lot of them. The reason why they probably that 30% passed was because a lot of them were CRNAs or techs and that kind of thing. And went on and said, hey, I want to be a nurse, and let me go ahead and pay my $10,000. And you're right. Hustling around these last few years, they probably made that in a month.
More. So much more.
Boom. Yeah, exactly. So they were able to pay that off like that.
Right. So the schools involved in this alleged scheme include Siena College, Palm Beach School of Nursing, and Sacred Heart International Institute. And of course, it has to be in Florida, where I'm from. Oh God, Florida!
And all those out of the news. All of those schools are defunct now. They're not. They're not existent anymore.
Well, speaking about nursing and medicine and so forth, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this whole concept of dying for beauty, because there's a lot of things that people will do to their bodies because they want to be their best life and live their best life and look beautiful and so forth. We were talking about this earlier. So many things that are risky for people that women in particular are susceptible to doing. And one thing that caught my eye the other day was I saw this article about the risk of cancer that can come with gel UV nails. Like basically when you get gel nails, for those who don't know, you can get like gel nail polish and it stays on for weeks. It looks beautiful, looks fabulous. These are not gel, these are SNS. But
Yes,
you put your
SNS.
hands, are those gel?
No, these are SNS.
SNS, and it's dip powder. But you get a polish, and then in order to set that polish so that it stays for weeks and weeks, you put your hands in a little machine that has UV lights, and it sets the polish. It won't smudge, it won't budge, and it stays for a long time. When it first came out years and years and years ago, I was like, this is fabulous. You could get your nails done, walk out there, and not worry about them getting smudged. Now there's studies showing that can cause cancer. And it's like, what else is possibly causing health risk in this society of ours where we're trying to look beautiful and actually we're killing ourselves?
Well, and so the reason why the FDA approved the gel light because their initial studies were it does not cause cancer. So they had a study, and it's a small study, and it's by this PhD that deals with cellular and molecular medicine in UC San Diego. And so what they did was they tested tissue samples, and they put the UV light on the tissue samples, and within 48 hours they saw mutations. So what they're showing is that it can cause mutation in these cells, and so does that translate into this can then convert into cancer? And so they're showing that it's not as benign as you would think it should be. That if it's doing this on these cells, can it potentially lead to cancer? And so it definitely is making people think, wait a minute, is this as benign as we thought it was?
Absolutely. So it's not a clear causal link, okay? But there's a suggestion that there are some changes that it's causing in the cells that could potentially cause cancer. And so it's causing people to look a little more closely to make sure that this is safe.
Right.
Yeah.
What has been actually demonstrated to cause cancer is something called relaxers or permanents. Some people say permanents, relaxers. A lot of Black women, in order to straighten the natural coily, curly texture of our hair, will get a chemical put in, and it straightens the hair. But unfortunately, there are recent studies that are showing that it does have an increased risk for uterine cancer. And so luckily, years back, I'd say for the past 10 or more years, there's been a huge push towards natural hair, which is great, because now we don't have to have that risk. But this is just another thing that came to mind when I saw the nails. There's hair, there's all these potential threats and things that you just think are innocuous and you just want to do to make yourself look better, quote unquote. Do we need to be afraid of everything that we're putting on ourselves to try and look fabulous, ladies?
I don't think we need to be afraid of everything, but really kind of maybe just taking a step back and seeing, look at the study and how often are you getting this done? I mean, some things that people are doing for beauty are a bit obsessive. Nobody's eyelashes should look like, the star of Charlotte's Web is coming off your face. If you shouldn't be blinking like that. But I mean, and if they ever find a link between cancer and eyelashes, oh Jesus. But anyway,
they better not.
Well, you have reasonable. You don't have a fur like a mink coat on your eyelash. That's the mink.
Like, oh girl, I'm cold.
They get like gemstones and stuff, and I'm like, come on, really? Do we have to do all that?
I know, but you know what? To each her own. Where I am right now, we're going to do a whole show on this sometime on plastic surgery and different beauty enhancements, including those that are very invasive. But what I'm finding is that, I used to be a little judgy when I see people, especially when breast implants came out and all these implants came out and people's faces looking like this. And I was like, come on now, ladies. Let's just embrace our natural beauty. But I don't judge anymore. Like, I'm like, if it works for you, it works for you. See now, but me, I cannot go under the knife because I'm not about to die about some trying to look good. I have 3 little kids. I'm not trying to, they cannot tell a story about mommy died because she was trying to look cute. Okay. It can't be my story. So it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm not judging anybody who does. And truth be told, like, I've seen too many mess ups too. Like, I'm okay with what God did here. Like, I'm okay with it. Like, I don't want to come out and be like, oh, I wish I didn't look like this. And so we're not going to do any of that. But Sadia, you were telling me a little bit about the Brazilian butt lift and how some ladies are having to like travel on they have like planes chartered for women and possibly men who are coming back after having a Brazilian butt lift. Tell me a little bit more about that.
And I had heard about it kind of superficially about people getting BBLs, like, oh, everybody's all lined up waiting for the plane, and then you have to sit a certain way. And I was like, you know, I kind of discounted her. I just didn't think about it. But anyway, there was this lady that I saw on, I guess it was on TikTok and then on Instagram. And so she was like, oh my goodness, I'm on the plane. And I think all these ladies just had surgery. And so sure enough, they're sitting on the plane, like hugging the seat. And they're not sitting on their bottom.
On their butts, because their butts can rupture possibly?
I guess.
Let me show the picture.
I'm sitting here like, well, first of all, how are the airlines allowing women to sit this way? When
right, because you have to have your seatbelt on takeoff and landing. And how are you going to have a seatbelt if you're sitting up like that? And now, viewers, I don't know if you can see this picture well. And of course, we cropped the face out. But this lady is leaning over the seat because she cannot sit on her bottom. So she's like facing the back of the seat and she's leaning over, and that is how she is going to fly. And apparently there were several other women on the plane who were all in that same position. So you got this plane with all these women leaning over, sitting like this. Just hunched over, holding on to the seat. You're on mute, honey.
I don't know if I ever want to have a surgery that bad. But I got to be on the plane sitting like that. And I think also, I know I talked to various people and looked this up because normally even now they'll have surgery, kind of not vacations, but you have your surgery, you're in a hotel, you know, the nurse should come check on you and you're there for however long.
It's really like surgical tourism. Like you pick a spot and I've heard of that.
So you can travel safely. And so this, I'm like, did y'all just go? Then they said, good, hey, bye, go.
Thank you for your donation.
Yeah, and then you're going home like this?
Right. We hope you have a beautiful life.
That's what they do, though. Come on, ladies. You see,
even said that that's okay. You know,
but we've seen it all the time. How many times have you been in the ER and you see somebody come in, they just had surgery in Miami or Dominican Republic or Thailand or whatever, some sort of plastic surgery, and they're in your ER and they had it like 2 days ago and you're like, did you call the surgeon? Oh, nobody's answering the phone, or I was discharged. And our surgeons in whatever hospital I've worked in now have to assume care of this patient that they didn't operate on. So we see it all the time. It's like surgery, cut, off you go.
Right.
Not to mention the pulmonary embolism that they get after they just had the surgery. Then they're on the plane and they come in talking about this short of breath and having chest pain. So I mean, that's the other thing too, that people don't realize the dangerous consequences.
Right.
And once again, you're right.
Oh, we lost you. You got frozen.
Oh, that's a wonderful pose that she's in.
It's a wonderful pose. See, it's a conspiracy. They don't want you to talk about all this stuff. They're like, let the butts and the breast live on. The BBLs forever.
But I mean, you're right. I mean, there's been a couple of times where people have rolled on in. Yeah. Oh, matter of fact, I'll back up this. I won't even say anything about the ER. I'm going to say in the airport traveling. Have you seen the people coming in and having all the chairs and just rolling them in and rolling them out of the chair?
Yeah.
Oh, child, I'm like, oh, maybe this is a conference for people who are differently abled or something like that. No, it's not. All these people had surgery, and now they had surgery. I mean,
but to be honest, though, you can't blame people. We're in a society where people are told they have to look a certain way, and that defines their worth, especially women. And we have to kind of move away from that. And there's a lot of people who just want to nip and tuck and lose a little here and there. And so we were talking about Brazilian butt lifts and weight lifts, liposuction and everything. And that makes me think about dieting. A lot of people's New Year's resolution is about diets. And I'm thinking a lot of people are going to have to end up on diets just by virtue of how expensive this food is nowadays. Can we talk about these food prices? What
Yeah,
is up with these food prices?
the food prices are ridiculous. The percentages that certain things have gone up. I mean, the going thing now is eggs.
Yes,
Eggs are up
eggs. Why you gotta rob a bank just
59.3%.
to buy some eggs? Like, it's
Right.
crazy. We do not
Right. It's
endorse
like, do
robbing
I want to
banks.
pay my mortgage or do I want an omelet? You shouldn't be
Thank
making
you.
those decisions.
Right.
So eggs
Right.
are up a ridiculously large amount. I mean, not just eggs, lettuce. Lettuce is up 24, almost 25%. Flour is up. And both of those things are because of issues going on with Russia. Russia
Yeah,
is one
and
of our
Ukraine.
lead importers of fertilizer. And then there was
Okay.
an insect-borne virus that was raging in the Salinas Valleys in California.
We got you back, Sonia.
No, I
Oh,
think
oh.
the BBL
Sorry.
gods.
Yo, oh no, we were
Yes,
talking about
that's
we were
what
talking
we
about
said.
food though. We skipped that. We went off the BBL.
Oh,
we
no, I
already
know,
said
but
the BBL gods are the ones who tried to silence you. We already said
Yes,
that.
exactly.
So Yolanda, Dr. Yuli was talking about food prices and in Salinas. I'm sorry, we cut you off. I was just so excited
yeah.
to see Sonia back.
No. I'll try to make it quick. The Salinas Valley in California is like America's salad bowl, and it had an insect-borne virus in 2022, which made all the prices go up. But you know what food has gone up 305%?
What?
School lunches. School lunches have gone up in price 305.2%.
That's not right. That's
Yeah.
not right.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous, and I think that people, if you haven't been conscious of the way you've been eating before, you will be now.
Yep. And it's also time to do one of your passions.
Oh yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Dr. Yuli, she is an avid gardener. She can grow anything, honey. Anything. And
Yes.
I need to get some of her green thumb. But it's time to get your garden together. Tell us about how we can do that, Dr. Yuli.
So there's a very, very long list of things, but I'm gonna say 3 things. 1, plan where you want your garden. It doesn't have to be acres and acres of land. You can grow a fine selection of plants in a small type of radius. Let's say a 4 by 6 foot area that you can put some hay bales in, bales of hay, put a little soil on top. We can talk about that later. Very doable. Number 2, compost. That means all those scraps from when you cook your expensive ass food that's left over, your coffee, your eggshells. Them eggs is precious. You got to use it all.
All of it.
All those things are really good for putting nutrients in your soil. So when you grow your food, the food has a good starting point. And then number 3, pick what you're going to grow. The easiest things for someone to grow, I'm going to say, are radishes, beans, cucumbers, and tomatoes. I think those are really, really easy to grow. And also those plants put things back into the soil that will prepare it for later gardening, like fall gardening, or for the next year.
I love it. We need to do a whole show on gardening and sustainable food solutions and so forth, because it's really something that we need to pass on to our children. Some of our kids don't even know how food gets to the grocery store. I remember I was cooking the other day, and my little one, granted he's 5, he's like, "Oh, that's what a chicken looks like when it's not cooked." You know, like he knows what a live chicken looks like, but he doesn't know the in between. And there's certain foods that he was seeing that he's like, "Oh, that's beef." He had no concept of it because they don't know, you know. And certain vegetables, before they're cooked, they don't know what they look like. You know, the carrots with the roots, you know, that it's a root. When they see those roots, they're like, "What's all that?" That's what the carrots look like before they cut them and make them into the little baby carrots that you buy at the grocery store. So
right. I have my kids out in the garden with me, and I also organic garden, meaning I don't use any pesticides. One of the things I grow is strawberries for my son, and he will go out in the garden and help. And as a reward, he gets to go over and pick some strawberries, and he can just eat them. I mean, I would prefer for him to wash them off.
Right.
But I mean, a little dirt won't hurt. So
won't hurt. I love it. It's something we will talk about more in future shows. I really love it. And speaking about love, Valentine's Day is around the corner. You see, I got my little Valentine's earrings on already. I usually hate when, you know, it's just been, Easter and all of a sudden they got stuff for Christmas out. Like, I really hate that, but it's only a few days till February. So I think it's okay to do this, right, ladies?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you had on like 4th of July stuff, I'd have a problem. But
I have a problem too. I hate those people. It makes me feel like I'm behind or something. Like, I'm late. I don't have my Christmas stuff up, and it's only like April. But anyway, Valentine's Day is this month, and in honor of Valentine's Day, we are going to be re-airing our show that we did on orgasms and sexual health, because we want your Valentine's Day to be right, ladies and gents. In that show, we highlighted orgasm, how to get them, why they're good for you health-wise, yes, doctor's orders, and also talked a lot about things in sexual health, women's sexual health particularly, that we think you all are going to love. So please stay tuned for our series. We'll be releasing it in parts throughout the next few weeks, so you can plan for Valentine's Day and maybe even a little bit after. And if there are any questions, we want to know. We had some great experts talk about our anatomies and how to really maximize the things you want to maximize and minimize the things you want to minimize. So don't miss it when it comes out. We'll be starting that soon. Any last words you want to share with our viewers?
I just want to say thank you all for watching. This has been one of the joys of my life. Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you, Sonia, for just being, partners in crime. And I look forward to 2023, because 2022 was on some whole shit. And I'm looking forward to not having the same year as last year.
Yes, and absolutely, I share your optimism, and I think for a while there we weren't feeling that, and so I'm excited even for that, just to have that new spirit of optimism. And no, I had a ball today. This was really fun, and looking forward to doing many more of this for the upcoming year, and so just excited for all the possibilities, ladies, of what we can do in 2023.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Silver linings all around for me. Yes. I love this. I love talking to you all at home. I love hanging with these ladies. This was really fun for me because we just got to talk about whatever's coming up. And a lot of these conversations I've had with you all, those of you who watch When Docs Talk and who write to our website or post there. And so tell us what you want to talk about, but definitely stay tuned for our series, because we will have more formal discussions on the topics that matter most to you. When we send out our polls, we love to hear your feedback. It's always so exciting to me to see how people are thinking and what percentage, vote for this thing or that thing. But stay well. Happy Valentine's Day. Definitely watch our orgasm series. You definitely won't want to miss it, because it's important to know what works, what doesn't work, why, and all the latter. And we will see you next time on When Docs Talk. Stay well, be kind to each other, okay?
Bye, guys.
Bye.
When Docs Talk, when Docs Talk, when Docs Talk, when Docs Talk. When Docs Talk, when Docs Talk.